We are joined today by former Phillies player and 2013 National League All-Star Dominic Brown, also a former Reading Philly. He is still in baseball, but now as a youth instructor. And one of the places he lends his time and talent is right here at Baseball Town. Rip it. First arrived in Reading in August of 2009. You were a rising prospect in the Phillies system at that time. Had a pretty good stint at Clearwater coming in. And your anticipated arrival in Reading really made a bang. On your fourth game, August 5th, 2009, a magical night in Reading. Pedro Martinez on a rehab assignment. You were there as a top prospect. Do you remember anything about that game?
It was electric. I can definitely say the least. Bunch of jitters, bunch of goosebumps, just excited to get the game started. I think he pitched, I don't know how many innings he pitched. The only thing I can remember is hitting a home run, and we were playing against Trenton, and I don't know, my helmet was coming off. I wasn't really trying to taunt the other team or anything, but coming around the bases, the guys were kind of yelling at me to run, and Pedro Martinez was the first one at the top step. As a 14 or 15-year big leaguer, it was an unbelievable treat. Kind of had to be escorted after the game just because the fans were so electric, which you've seen a lot here in a good baseball town. It was just a very, very, very special night for myself.
It was a crowd of almost 10,000. It was a stadium record at that point. To hit a home run with Pedro Martinez, future Hall of Famer at that point, right, on the mound, that had to be a pretty good moment in your baseball career.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Pedro's always been an unbelievable guy. Every time that I see him, even after that point, and whether it was in the big leagues or just in the DR somewhere, he's always showed a lot of love and respect. So that moment was definitely big in my career.
By 2011, you were the number 4 prospect in all of minor league baseball, obviously number 1 in the Phillies system. By 2013, you're in Philadelphia. The month of May, you tear it up, Player of the Month honors. You're an NL All-Star. At that point in your career, things were going pretty well. What was your outlook on life?
Kind of the same as now, I guess. I'm always trying to get better. Things were just flowing, having a great time. Felt like I had the whole city, around me, which was phenomenal. I felt like that until I left Philly. That's what made me come back and make it home. You guys have always been great, even here in Baseball Town. That's why I come back now. Just an unbelievable experience.
Was it tough to stay grounded when things were going so well?
I think that has a lot to do with upbringing. For me, it definitely was tough because I'm always trying to be the best. And maybe that was the downfall too, because you start overworking and over-preparing and overthinking. And then over time as an adult, I found myself laying back off of myself a little bit more and trying to play a lot more relaxed.
By 2015, just a little over 2 years later, you're placed on waivers by the Phillies. I mean, talk about going from high to low. What were you thinking? What were your thoughts about baseball at that point?
It was still high. I always felt like that I was going to be able to overcome the situation. I ended up signing with the Blue Jays, which was okay. Didn't work out well so much. Next year playing with Colorado, ended up hitting over 300, and then I ended up going to Mexico, which was great. It ended up being a great turnout for myself.
Obviously, you never got back to the major leagues. At some point, you decided, okay, it's time to end my playing career, even though you were not that old, and started instructing. What made you make that decision?
The love for the game, for me, I was saying I was going to give it a couple years to see if I could get another shot, whether it was Japan or the big leagues. Didn't work out that way. Ended up making the All-Star team last year in Mexico and found some love with teaching. I came back home and a couple of my guys that I worked with, one's going to St. Joe's, Max Hickman. Definitely fell in love with him, and then after that, I've just been rolling, man. It's been a huge passion of mine. I feel like I'm on the field again. It's been a great moment for me.
How does instructing compare with playing?
It's totally different. Like you got to worry about so many other things. Each individual have their own routine. It's just not about yourself now, and maybe that came a little bit more just having the kids and the wife and the responsibility. But I definitely love doing it, man. It's a lot of preparing, I can tell you that. I'm watching more swings now and more highlights just to help the kids out than I did when I played.
Are you more a student of the game now than when you were playing?
Oh, 100%. I don't want to mess a guy up or, make them doubt themselves. So after the lesson, I'm always keeping my notes in my notepad and just trying to better the guy each and every day.
What age groups do you work with?
I'm working with from 6 or 7 to college guys. So I definitely try to bring in anybody that I can just to see if I can push and give them the baseball knowledge that I have.
You able to put things in perspective after your playing career was over?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a totally different ball game now, man. Being able to come out here and do some clinics and doing more teaching. I was a much more reserved, quiet type guy when I played, so a lot of guys see me, teaching and speaking. Now they're looking at me a little bit different, but I had to learn that part of life as well, and that's something that I'm continuously working on throughout the days.
Now, other than working on swing mechanics and so forth, what are you able to teach these kids?
Right. For me, it's about getting them to the next level, and that's college. My goal is definitely getting 100 to college by the end of my lifetime. I'm definitely trying to change the stuff at the house. The perspective with playing baseball on and off the field, you got to be mentally tough. So for me, I always try my best to definitely give my situation. But being able to be one of the best players in the game at a certain time, and then also going through my downfalls, I'm able to give them a good perspective on life and the game as well.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dom. Thanks for coming back to Baseball Town and teaching these kids.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.